Okay, so in Bhajagovindam, we were on that verse, Bhagavad Gita, Kinchidadhita, Ganga Jalla, Kanika Pita. The state of a man of realization is what we had learnt in 19th verse. And how to reach there? That in any circumstance we are not affected and our abidance in the self is the criteria to know whether one is realized or not. So then the 20th verse gave us 3 sadhanas. Little bit of Bhagavad Gita, one who reads, one who studies, not reads, one who studies. One drop of Ganga water if one takes, one who remembers Murari, that person goes beyond the realm of change, which is death. So the study of the Gita is for the intellect. The drop of Gangaji is a symbol of seva, and worship of Murari is devotion, which is for the mind. So at all the 3 levels, body, mind and intellect, one who is able to do the sadhanas, integrate the personality, transcend it, realizes the self. Moving ahead, in each one of us there is the aspect of the body, mind, intellect, and then there is self. So this body, mind, intellect which are there, they are the realm of change, and identifying with those one feels incomplete. And when we feel incomplete, then we want to experience fulfillment through something outside. So we entertain desires. And these desires to fulfill, one has to keep taking birth again and again. So the next verse speaks about that aspect, that how the life of a person goes from one birth to another, and the cycle of birth and death is actually the samsara. 21st verse. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Punarapi janani jathare shayanam. Punarapi janani jathare shayanam. Iha samsare bahudustare. Iha samsare bahudustare. Kripaya pare pahi murare. Kripaya pare pahi murare. Bhaja govindam, bhaja govindam. Govindam bhaja muramate. So he says here, Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Once again birth, once again death. Punarapi janani jatare shayanam. And again one comes into the womb of the mother. Iha samsare bahudustare. This samsara is very, very difficult to cross. Kripaya apare pahi murari. O Murari, please help me cross over this, because this is not crossable, apare. So by your grace only you can take us across. So what does this mean? This is called Dina Bhakti, where one surrenders and expresses one's helplessness, that there is no other solution. I depend only on your grace. See the ocean, no? How can one cross an ocean by swimming? It is not possible to cross an ocean by swimming. One will get exhausted, fatigued, and one will drown in that. So here it is, and it says samsare bahu dustare. It is extremely difficult to go over the realm of change. Constantly we are identified with the body, mind, intellect. How is it that I can identify and remain as the changeless self at all times? Our own vasanas, our own desires, they push us out. Again we identify with the change. So that's why this is 2 aspects here. One is, the first 2 aspects here are to see the painful aspect of birth and death. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. If birth and death, the more one thinks about it, does one really want to be born again? One has to go through the same cycle again. Again one is born, again one grows, one has to go to school, one gets educated, one gets job. Same cycle will happen again. And that if I get a human birth. Now which birth, when one gets what birth, one doesn't know. And how much pain inside the womb. To be born, for everybody it is great joy. But how much pain the mother has to go through, how much pain the child has to go through. Both forming inside in the womb 9 months, it is like getting, the example given is it is like being in a cauldron of molten iron. If you are put in a cauldron of molten iron, what will happen? How we get burned, roasted, finished. That is happening inside. The child is getting formed, the body is being formed, the bones are being formed, all that is happening, and there is Jataragni of the mother also. The digestive fire also is there near the womb. So the child is hanging upside down, the body is getting formed, there is tremendous heat all around, there is dirt, fecal matter, smell, terrible it is. The more one thinks about that, do I really want to come back into the womb of the mother and struggle there 9 months? After that, when one comes out, whole life one has to struggle. How much happiness do I get in the whole life when we think about few moments of pleasure here and there? And I have collected so much more karma in that process that I have guaranteed many other births. Then one day I will die. Again I will come back into the womb. Where is the end to this? That's why he says, Iha samsare bahu dustare. It is very difficult to cross. So with our efforts to cross this ocean of samsara, extremely difficult. So what to do then? Kripaya apare pare. Oh Lord, this is very difficult to cross. Birth is pain, life is pain, death is also pain. Analogy given is it's how much pain one gets. If one pin pokes us, we get a pain. If every cell of our body is pricked at the same time, what will be the pain? That is the pain at the time of death. You may say, but if somebody dies in coma, somebody died in sleep. See, the pain is directly proportional to the attachment to the body. 1. 2, it also depends on the type of death. A violent death is definitely much more painful than silent death. That is in terms of the experience of at the body level. But the mind which is attached, it will go through pain to the extent it is attached. If it is not attached, it will just go. So the point there is that birth, life, death, every step there is struggle and pain. And there is no end to it. That's the point there. See, if it is for some time, it ends, no problem. But this is unending. This cycle of struggle at birth, life, death is not ending, because its same journey is continuing again when I am born. You say, no, that's why it's better to be born in animal yoni. There are people who explain that, who give that logic. Animals are much better off. They don't suffer. We suffer as human beings so much. But look at the silent suffering of the animals. And what human being has done to the planet, that which our animals are struggling and suffering. Plastic goes inside them and then they don't know what to do. Where have we left? We have not left the animals on the land. We have not left the animals in the ocean also. Nor are we leaving any animals on the sky also. Everywhere we have destroyed the plant, animal kingdom, human being. How is animal yoni more better? Voiceless, they can't explain. They don't know many things. Silently they keep suffering. So any yoni one goes to, the point here is not about human. What is said here? Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Birth and death is a pain. Then when they say Jataragni, then of course those who are born through the womb. Otherwise there are other creatures, they are not born through the womb. Those who are born through the moisture, Svedaja. Those who are born through the earth. So Svedaja is all these flies and mosquitoes and all that. Then the earth is the plants, the trees, etc. That's called Udbhijya. And then Andaja, those who are born from the egg. And Jarayuja is those who are born from the womb. So Punarapi Janani Jathare Shainam, we may say all those yonis which are born through the womb. But any yoni, it is first line though is general. Any birth or any death is painful only. So more one thinks about birth and death, more one understands that what should be the true priority of life. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. That I have this chance in this human life, that let me realize the Supreme and get out of this cycle of birth and death. And again, the issue is not birth and death really. The issue is ignorance. I don't know who am I. Not knowing who am I feel incomplete and I keep coming back into the world. So if you see in Gurudev's commentary, the last two lines of this verse are described very beautifully it's like a prayer. The seventh paragraph. It starts with, O destroyer of Mura. So he says here, O destroyer of Mura, Lord Krishna, save me, help me, please, is the ardent prayer unto him, and seeking his feet of love is the only way out. And even here, what right have I, the slave of my own passions, the non-believer all these years, to seek his help now? True, I have no faith to meet thee, O Lord. I have nothing to offer thee except my own tears. I have nothing to claim for myself except the fatigue of my indulgence, the stink of my selfish acts, the sweat of my passions, the cords of my attachments. In fact, I don't deserve to be saved. Yet, Lord, I am tired, beaten out completely, exhausted thoroughly, repented fully, helpless wholly. This line is the line of complete surrender, where one says, I don't even have energy to put forth purusharth. I cannot put effort also. Imagine you are drowning in an ocean, you keep swimming, beyond a point what will happen? I won't have energy to swim. One just says, enough now. That is the situation here, that one surrenders, when one thinks about it, and how one has lived one's life, one feels that how will I cross this ocean of samsara in this way? See, this is a lot of, we may say, no, this much I have not gone through. But the point is not whether one has gone through this exactly like this. Point is surrender. So here it is that he surrenders completely. So he says, I surrender myself to thee and thy grace. I claim a hearing and expect help from thee. Art not thou the ocean of kripa, of grace, of kindness and of love? Art thou not the destroyer of demon Mura? Won't thou in thy kindness take pity on me and once more destroy the old enemy Mura in my bosom, the bundle of my own wretched vasanas? So this prayer is a prayer of surrender, saying, O Lord, please shower your grace. I completely surrender to you. Help me to cross over this ocean of samsara. So this is called Dina Bhakti.
Who is Mura?
Mura was a demon. That one demon, I don't remember his story, but that demon was killed by the Lord Krishna.
That's why he's known as Murari.
Murari. That's why one of his name is Murari. We'll find out and put it on the group. Who is this Mura? Some demon it is for sure. So that way, this attitude here is, let me surrender to the Lord and may the Lord help me to cross over. The point here is of also that it is not that I should not put effort, but the ego with which I put the effort, that ego only has to be removed. So the final thing is only grace. I cannot realize by my effort, because that I only has to dissolve completely. In bhakti what happens? The I dissolves by holding on to the Lord, saying, I depend only on your grace. That bhakti is called Ananya Bhakti also. The devotee does not depend on anybody outside, no power, position, prestige, no people, nothing. Doesn't depend on one's own equipment of the body, mind, intellect. Doesn't depend on sadhana also. Bhagavan is not a result of my sadhana. His grace makes me do sadhana and His grace will lift me to realize His oneness with Him also. So that is called Dina Bhakti, complete surrender. One example of that is Draupadi. When Draupadi was being insulted in that assembly of the Pandavas and the Kauravas together. So in the beginning when Dushashan was disrobing her, she was holding on with both her hands and she was finding it very difficult. Then she lifts one hand and calls out to Krishna and she is holding her sari with one hand. Finally she says, so first before all this she asks all the people assembled there. Nobody helps her. Her husbands also don't help. Bhishma, Drona, Dhritarashtra, nobody helps. Then she herself tries. Both hands. Doesn't work. Then she holds with one hand, leaves one hand. Calls out to Krishna. That also doesn't work. Then she leaves up one hand also. With both hands she says, I am only dependent on Bhagavan. Now whatever happens is your grace. Then the Vastravatar of the Lord happens. So what does that mean? In this context, it is the Jiva who completely has surrendered to Ishvara, then Ishvara Kripa happens. One may say, why did Bhagavan's Kripa not happen at other times? See, the thing is, Bhagavan's Kripa happens also. But our ego prevents us from even seeing it, from experiencing it. So, when one completely surrenders, and this we are talking about going across the ocean of samsara. There it is grace alone which will help. So now such a person who has surrendered completely, how does that person live in the world? The 22nd verse tells us that Rathya-charpata virachita kanthaha Punya punya vivarjita pantha Yogi yoga niyojita chitta Ramate balonmattavadeva Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. So here is a person who wears a cloth which is made up by stitching many rags and pieces of cloth. Rathya charpata virachita kantha. Meaning takes bare minimum from the society. It doesn't take anything actually. Even basic necessity of cloth one is not taking. One is making it using the torn pieces which one finds. Rathya charpata virachita kantha. Punya punya vivarjita pantha. But what is the path that this person is walking? The path which is beyond punya and beyond papa. So what is punya and papa? They are the results of good action is punya, result of bad action is papa. So they are the karma phalas, punya and papa. And this karma phala comes to us according to the intention. Action done with good intention will lead to punya. With bad intention will lead to papa. So now punya vivarjita pantha. So punya and papa, they depend on the karta bhav. When I have the karta bhav, then I have punya and papa. If there is no kartritva bhav, there is no punya and papa. So punya vivarjita pantha means here is a person who walks a path of egolessness. Meaning one does spontaneous action. There is no doership in that person. One has acted, one is acting, dedicating it to the Lord or to the family or to whichever higher order. The best would be Bhagavan here. So he says here that such a person who takes bare minimum from the society doesn't need anything from the society but gives maximum. Walks the path which is beyond punya and papa, meaning lives not for oneself, lives for the sake of the society, dedicated for the country or the Lord himself. Punya vivarjita pantha. And how has he done that? Yogi yoga niyojita chitta. With yoga, using practices of yoga, what has he done? Control the mind. Yoga niyojita chitta. And then what is his state? Ramate bala unmattavad eva. This man of perfection revels in bliss. Like what? Like a small child. Balavat. Child. What is the special feature of a child? Why is a realized man compared to a child? So he or she is always called as childlike, not childish. So what quality of a child is important here, that a realized man is compared to a child?
Child is always very neutral, innocent, and he doesn't have any ambitions and
Pure,
ego.
innocent, no ambition, egoless. So these are some of the qualities. A realized master also will live in purity, will live in not the innocence of a child but the purity of the self. That purity brings that innocence in that person. If that person has to defend, has to fight back, one will do all that. But there is no animosity inside. There is no vengeance, animosity. So one very important feature of a child is spontaneity. A child is very, very spontaneous and lives in the moment. I am talking about a very small child. So it may feel anger, it may feel irritation, it may be crying, anything it can go through. But the next moment, it will not be there. It will be something else. That crying, weeping, anger, all that will go away. So it doesn't operate out of raga, dvesha, out of past memories. It lives in the now. The child lives in the moment. Same way here is a person who lives in the present moment. Fully in this moment, not acting out of memory, not acting out of ego. So this ego will always function through memories. Because ego itself is a bundle of memories. If we try to define ourselves right now, who am I? With reference to nothing of the past, try. Can I describe myself? They say in an interview, tell me something about yourself. Try. Only one condition is don't use anything associated with the past. Try. What can we say?
Come for the interview.
You have come for the interview, but that is nothing about you, no? That's only your action. You came. Aham Brahmasmi. Actually, except that Aham Brahmasmi or I am, I cannot say anything else. So if I add anything else, suppose I say, I am Mr. So and so. That how many years old? 30 years old. So already past has come. My name is Prema. That's your name. Who are you? I am son of so and so. That is your father. That is also in the past. Anything I talk about myself will only be about the past or about the future. In the present moment, right now, if I have to describe myself, I can only use two words. I am. Bas. Nothing more than that I can say. In that also, who is this I? is actually the real I, not the small I. I may say I am in this identification of small I, but that small I is only a bundle of memories. The real I alone exists actually. So one who doesn't operate out of memories, and memory is one thing. Favorable memory creates desire for pleasure. Unfavorable memory creates pain. So favorable memory will give rise to more and more desires. Unfavorable memory will give rise to fear and pain. And human being is trapped in that one. In the play of memory, one is trapped. The child is not stuck in memory. Child is spontaneously in the moment. One moment the child may have fight with the mother, second moment the child will go and hurt the mother. There is no, what is it called? Hang up in the head. But as one grows, the hang up starts. Because the vasanas are then manifesting, ego has become solid, strong. So life comes one circle actually. From the stage where I was a child, very spontaneous, then I start creating hang-ups and ego and all kinds of problems, and then get hit badly, and then one realizes, no, this is not the way to live. Come to spirituality, and slowly then spirituality tells what? Be like a child. Which they are saying even in this stress management seminars and all, they are saying that only now. Be like a child. Recently that it went Children's Day, November 14. First of all, that date must be changed. Let us celebrate Children's Day on some other day. That Children's Day, some videos came out. Nice, very nice videos. Keep the child in you awake, alive. So what one would have done in the childhood, that masti one should be having in one's life also. Because one has become very, serious, following a certain etiquette. You can't go beyond a certain boundary. One has become very rigid. So keep the child awake in you. So what all pranks one did in the childhood, or silly things one did sometimes, one may feel it very silly. One is walking on the road, one finds a bottle, one wants to go and press that. Push. One wants to play some prank with the friend, tap on the back like that, or pull the ear, something one wants to do. Now as one has grown up, one has forgotten everything. All the childish pranks and everything one has forgotten. So keep the child awake. Spontaneity, laughter, joy, not living in memories, letting go very soon. All these are qualities of a child. Innocence, purity. Happily the child sleeps. Now we can't sleep only properly. Such a contrast. Same world we are living in and they are living in. You may say, but they don't know so many problems. Agreed. But they are still happily sleeping, no? We are not able to sleep with all our knowledge, intelligence, everything. We have to take sleeping pills to go and sleep. The child is still sleeping happily. Why? Because ego is less, worries are not there, tensions are not there. Now, how to live like that with the help of spiritual knowledge? That's the point. We are not saying escape from everything and become like a child. No. While facing all this, how to keep my mind strong? That's what punya vivarjita pantha, yogi yoga niyojita chitta. If I do all those, my mind will become like that, childlike. Child has sometimes unrealistic ambitions also, which we call unrealistic. When the child says, I will become like this, I will become like that, then we say, keep telling, keep dreaming. This is all not practical. All that one will tell the child. Then one will go to a goal setting workshop. There they will say, dream big. Think about the impossible. Don't limit yourself. What you can visualize, you can realize. That the kid was doing that time. That time one says, no, this is not practical. You have to be practical in the world. Hanumanji soaring to the sun, trying to eat the sun, is symbolic of that. The child will have tremendous imagination. Anything the child imagines. There is no boundary only. Then we bring logic into the head of the child. Make the child conditioned. This is only practical, this is not practical. Then the child also gets conditioned like that. Then go to another workshop where one will decondition, saying, no, think out of the box. But who told you to put the box? Education only put the box.
Yeah.
Box was not there before. Now you put the box, now you tell them get out of the box. Then that is called innovation. It's a deep value in corporate world, innovation. All that is something we have to do in the world. Now so many professions are dependent on all this only. It goes on. When one comes to spirituality, childlike, see that innocence and childlike nature of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the amount of purity he had, that produced a Vivekananda out of a skeptic Narendra. No amount of logic transformed Narendra. What transformed him was the childlike purity of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. What really transformed Balakrishna Menon to Swami Chinmaya was not the logic of Swami Shivananda. It was the heart of Swami Shivananda. The heart which is so sensitive, the heart which is full of love, the heart which is full of care and compassion, that which is serving the humanity through knowledge, through devotion, through seva. That heart is what transformed. So that is Ramate Balavat. And you look at them, how they smile, how they laugh. If you look at Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he doesn't look attractive from any standpoint of so-called standards of beauty. But he is most beautiful. Why? Because he has experienced the divine self. They used to call him madman of Dakshineshwar. Because he will go into samadhi. Looking at a bird, he will go into samadhi. Looking at his attendant folding a shawl, he will go into samadhi. So they used to call him madman of Dakshineshwar. But that madman of Dakshineshwar only produced Vivekananda. Nobody else had that capacity to produce a Vivekananda out of Narendra. That's the child. That's the purity of that mind. And in spiritual life, except purity, nothing else matters. To surrender the ego, purity of heart is required. So that is the child, Ramate Balavat. And then Unmattavat, like an intoxicated person. What is the quality of an intoxicated person? Does it mean that this person goes on drinking? Those who want to twist our scriptures, they'll say, see, realize man is like intoxicated. So come into intoxication. Are intoxicated by what? There are so many types of intoxication. We saw earlier, Dhana Mada, Yavana Mada, Jana Mada, one line, one shloka came, Ma Kuru Dhana Jana Yavana Garvam. So that's the mother, it is the intoxication of Dhan, I am very wealthy. Or Yavan,
Youth.
I am youth, young. Yavan. Or Jana, people. I have how many followers? 10 million followers. I am very, very popular. So, it's all mother, intoxication of all different kinds. But what is the quality of an intoxicated person? Which is compared to for a realized man here?
It's totally oblivious of what is happening around.
In their own world. They live in their own world, lost in their own world. And the world in which they are, nobody else has an entry into that world. It's like that. Intoxicated completely. One drunkard was walking on the road. After having drunk nicely, somehow is, what we call that?
Trying to go.
Balancing, somehow is going. And then he sees a pool of water. And in that there is a reflection of the moon. And he says, how did I come up here? Moon is down there. He is lost in his own thought. He's thinking he is standing somewhere above the moon. Like that, intoxicated person lives in their own world. They have nobody has an entry into what they feel actually. Only one who drinks will know what is that state. And that also, two drunkards cannot be in the same state. Each one will be in their own state. Here, realized men are not like that. Both the realized men are same state. So what is Unmattavat means that they are not lost. They are not attached to the world outside as we are attached. They are abiding in the self. In that state, we don't have an entry as of now. And the state in which we are living, they don't identify with that state. So in the Gita example given here is that Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam Tasyam Jagrati Sanyami. That world to which everybody else is awake, this master is asleep to that world. Meaning they are out of the world of attachment, rag, dvesh, ignorance, they are beyond that world. And that world to which they are awake. Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashyato Gune. Yes, I gave the meaning of the two lines ulta, but that's what the essence is that the world in which they are awake, to that we are asleep. They live in bliss of Satchidanand. And we are living in the misery of samsara. Complete opposite. Infinite bliss is their nature. Our nature is what? Endless dukkha. Sukha is one chutney, now and then we experience little pickle. Main course is dukkha. Full opposite. So here it is Ramate Balavat and Unmattavat. This is the man of realization. Now, how does one come to that state? Lots of attachments we have. That's why we are not able to reach the state of a man of realization like a child or like a intoxicated person. So what is the best method now? Keep inquiring. Like an intoxicated person lives in his own world, for a realized person, this world is a dream. But not lost in the dream, fully aware that this is all an illusion, this is not real. How has that person come to that? By inquiring. See the 23rd one. Kastvam koham kuta ayataha
Kastvam koham kuta ayataha
Kame janani ko me tataha
Kame janani ko me tataha
Iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram
Iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram
Vishvam tyaktva swapna vicharam
Vishvam tyaktva swapna vicharam
Bhaja Govindam Govindam Bhaja Modamate. So Kastvam, who are you? Koham, who am I? Kuta ayata, from where did we come? Kame janani kome tata, who is my mother and who is my father? This had come earlier also, no? In the 8th verse it came. This similar thought had come earlier also. Then why again here it is coming? That earlier verse said what? The 8th verse it is. This one. Tate kanta kaste putra samsaro yamativa vichitra. Kasyatvam kaha kuta ayata. Here it is Kastvam. Who are you? Who am I? From where did we come? Meaning, human mind wants to know the cause of the whole world. Mother and father also mean the cause. From where this world came. So when we inquire into the cause of the world, from where did this world come, then what happens? We can trace the world came from 5 elements. From 5 elements, they came from where? They came from Prakriti, nature. Prakriti came from where? Prakriti came from Ishvara, Bhagwan, Brahman, sorry. Brahman came from where? Causation hunting is the preoccupation of the intellect. Intellect always wants to know the cause of something. So what is an effect today will have a cause. But when we look at the ultimate cause, can the ultimate cause have a cause? Because it will go in infinite regress. The first cause has to be causeless, which is called, in our culture, that's why we call Bhagwan as Swayambhu, self-existent. Nobody created that Lord. He is already existing. Infinite reality exists. From there came the whole world. But if you actually think about it, can the infinite produce the world? What is the nature of this world? Is complete change. Every single moment this world is changing. And infinite reality is changeless. Can the changeless produce a changing world? Logically think about it. If changeless produces anything, it doesn't remain changeless. It has already become, it has already changed. So the changeless cannot produce a changing world. And yet we are seeing the changing world. What does that mean? What cannot exist but which appears to exist has to be a illusion only. Can the rope produce a snake? Still I am seeing a snake. Means what? The snake has to be an illusion. Can the sand produce the water in the desert? No, it is an appearance. So what cannot be but only appears to be is an illusion. So when we see the world, logically we understand that this cannot even be. And yet we see it is there. That is called illusion. Why it is called illusion? Because the definition of reality is what was, is, will be the same is real. That is Satyam. What was not, what is not, what will not be there. That is called Anitya, unreal. Two clear definitions. Satyam is what exists in 3 periods of time. Asat means that which does not exist in 3 periods of time. What is the example of Satyam? Brahman alone is the example of Satyam. That which remains in 3 periods of time, which is changeless. That is Brahman alone. What does not exist at all in 3 periods of time? What are the examples of that? The horns on the head of a man, son of a barren woman. They do not exist at all. In between this Sat and Asat is this category called Mithya. That which does not exist but which appears to exist. That is called Mithya. This world by itself does not exist. God by itself cannot produce the universe. Infinite reality cannot produce the universe. Then how did the universe come? It is an appearance. It is called Vivartavada. It's only an appearance. It is not real. So the snake is an appearance on what? On the rope. The rope, which is the reality, is appearing as snake without undergoing any change. That is called rope. It is not that the rope has become snake, now snake again becomes rope. No. Rope alone is, even when I am seeing the snake, rope alone is. The water is not produced by the sand. Sand is appearing as water. So illusion means what? The truth is appearing as illusion. The unreal does not exist at all. But the real is appearing as the illusion. That's why he says here, iti paribhavaya sarvam asaram. In this world there is no sara at all. Why? Because it's an illusion. Can that mirage water quench my thirst? No. And can the snake really bite me? No. Same way in the world when we live. If I live with this attitude that this whole thing is an illusion, when I know that this is an illusion, then what will my mind want to do? The mind will want to inquire, then what is the truth? What is the basis of this? If there is no snake there, then what is there? In the beginning, I am convinced there is a snake, so I am scared that a snake has bit me, I am going to die, but somebody says, "Arey, there is no snake." Then we say, well, then what is it? I will inquire into the truth. Illusion serves as a means to inquire into the truth. That's all. I should know what is an illusion and stop getting affected by an illusion. And then inquire into the truth. These two things have to be done. If I think of this as an illusion and I am still getting affected by illusion, it is like saying that, I am having hopes that the mirage water will quench my thirst. Anybody who hopes that illusion will bring real happiness is like that person who is depending on mirage water to quench the thirst. It will not. On the contrary, it will bring pain only, no? Take that sand and eat. What will happen? Will it quench the thirst? It will cause problems. This whole universe, which is an appearance of the truth, is an illusion, and there I am running behind it. No wonder I will get sorrow only. How will I not get sorrow? So then what to do? Inquire. Iti paribhavaya sarvam asaram. That there is no sara here. That is first point. That illusion cannot give any happiness. Then Vishwam Tyatva Swapna Vicharam. And once I reject this illusion, that this whole thing is an illusion, then inquire into what is the truth. The truth is there is only one supreme reality. The truth is there is only the screen. There are no scenes happening. No, but screen is so dull and boring. Movie scenes are so enjoyable. Then go up and down with it. When the hero flourishes, you also feel so much of joy. When the hero is killed, you also feel miserable. Go up and down. That is better, correct? 99% will choose that only. But there is a limitation of that example. The screen here is blank, no doubt. There it is not a state of blank, it is a state of absolute bliss. One small little drop of that bliss is experienced by Brahmaji, who gets the highest joy of creation. Imagine what is the joy that you and I must be getting. It's petty paltry. But that same human being can recognize the Supreme and experience infinite bliss. That's what Vedanta is saying here. Iti paribhavaya sarvam asaram. Drop all these attachments to the illusory things. Live in the world as though it is a dream. Play the roles that have to be played. But inside, don't take anything personally, don't take anything to heart. Why? It is a dream. It's an illusion. Why should I take so much? Why should I give so much reality to it? That I can't eat, sleep, I can't live happily, I am struggling to live in this world. Struggling with what? An illusory snake. That illusory snake is creating fear, tension, stress, anxiety, worry, depression, all that. When I actually put a torch, what will I realize? It is a rope. How foolish one feels. Arey, what is this? When somebody scares us, we feel like that or not? Somebody puts a mask and then comes and for 2 minutes we get scared, and then that fellow takes away the mask and we say, same thing is happening. Maya is scaring us. Illusion is appearing as real. Now we are getting psyched out. If I think that this is an illusion, when we say this is an illusion, what does that mean? You know? What we try to do is this is real, rest everything is illusion. There is a confusion. When we say Vishwam Tyaktva Swapna Vicharam, the whole world is an illusion means what? This body, mind, intellect also is a part of that illusion. It's not that this one body, mind, intellect is real and the rest of the world is an illusion. No. This one body, mind, intellect also is a part of that illusion. So what are we trying to achieve then? With the buddhi, we are trying to negate all that which is illusory. So no attachment to BMI, no attachment to the world. Then who are you? The Sakshi, the self of this BMI as well as the world. That is real. That doesn't change. Body, mind, intellect goes through changes. This doesn't change. That reality is my true nature. That is called Govind. So, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. So this concludes the 17th lesson. Now comes the 18th one. So this 18th one, we go to verse number 26. 6 impurities of the mind which are there: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. These 6 impurities are what prevent a person's realization of the self. So this Bhaja Govindam now says that these 6 impurities which are there, they are modifications of the first one, Kama. Yeah, so in this lesson it has skipped. Because 25, 26 speak about relationships. So in the lesson course, that has got skipped. Those 2 verses are not there. The general verses which we can use, that what is that? In me, in you, in everyone there is one Supreme Vishnu. Why get irritated with each other? Don't fight with each other. Live in equanimity. Those are general principles. So what Gurudev has done, he is not going verse wise. That I told you. He has given the summary. So those summaries, in that these 2 verses have got skipped. And they both are about relationships. So when we covered it earlier, in verse number 6, 5 and 6, they are about relationships he has covered. So he has skipped this one. So the simple meaning of those 2 verses is that don't fight with each other, don't get attached to each other, live in equanimity, focus more on giving love, and see the same, treat everybody as you would treat yourself. That is 24 and 25. Then he comes to 26. What does he say in this 26? Kama, Kamam. So let's read 26. Then we will take. Kamam, Krodham, Lobham, Moham.
Kamam, Krodham, Lobham, Moham.
Tyaktvatmanam pashyati soham.
Tyaktvatmanam pashyati soham.
Atma jnana vihina mudha.
Atma jnana vihina mudha.
Te pachyante naraka nigudha.
Te pachyante naraka nigudha.
Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. This is Kamam, desire. What is the desire? Desire is a sense of incompleteness. When that desire is there in us, that human being cannot sit quietly. We will become disturbed at the mind level and restless at the body level. One has to do something. When the desire is fulfilled, then what happens? Lobha happens. Greed. I want more and more of that. If it is not fulfilled, then what happens? Krodha happens. So he says here, Kamam, Krodham, Lobham, Moham. So when desire is fulfilled, it will lead to Lobha and Moha. When unfulfilled, it will lead to Krodha. The solution to overcome Krodha, Lobha, Moha, and by implication Mada and Matsarya is control this desire. So he says, Tyaktva Atmanam Pashyati Soham. You just drop this and see the full self. Desire is a sense of incompleteness. And it can never go until we experience completeness. So he says, Pashyati Soham, see the self within. Atma Jnana Vihina Mudha, those who don't have this Atma Jnana, they are deluded to think that happiness comes from the world outside. And that happiness doesn't come from the world outside. One doesn't realize. So one keeps running more and more and more behind it. That state of mind where one is insecure, one is restless, one is constantly chasing something, that state of mind is naraka only. Te pachyante naraka nibudha. So heaven and hell, a quiet mind, heaven. Disturbed mind, hell. But please remember, this heaven and hell is not only subjective phenomenon. Don't say it's all symbolic. Quiet mind is heaven, disturbed mind is hell. There is no actual heaven and hell. There is heaven and hell also. Just like this realm of existence exists or not. If this realm of existence is there, heaven and hell also is there. Description maybe you may feel it is exaggerated. That choice we have, that freedom we have to think whether it's exaggerated, real, what is it. But the realm of existence as heaven and hell is there. The jiva goes there, experiences things there. So we should not say that it does not exist. In our culture we have these three levels. When we say Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, we say Shanti 3 times for what? There is the Adi Daivik level, which is the cosmic level, Adi Bhautik level, the beings around us, and Adhyatmic level is the subjective experience. So subjectively heaven and hell means quiet mind is heaven, disturbed mind is hell. As far as the world of beings around is concerned, heaven and hell is what? Harmony in the society is heaven. Disturbance in society is hell. And Adi Daivik level, it is a realm of existence. The jiva goes there. According to its karma, the jiva experiences. And then again comes back. In the Gita also Bhagavan says that or not. Te punya masadya surendra lokam. They go by the punya, people go to that heavenly world. And kshine punya martya lokam veshanti. When the punya is over, again one comes back to this world. So those realms exist. Point here is to understand what? That when I don't realize the self, my life is miserable. It is a living hell right now. No, my life is not living hell. It is very comfortable, wonderful. People are there to love me. I have enough bank balance. Life is going on beautiful, smooth. How is it hell? It may not be. It's a very good thing. At this moment, one may feel my life is very comfortable, everything is going fine. But still, you ask anybody, scratch a little bit more, they will say, everything is fine, but if my son just listened to me now, I would be on top of the world. If little more, money comes. If I get that contract, life set. Or the other side will start. You scratch a little and they will start, this is happening, that is happening, I have this problem, that problem, who knows, they think my life is all cool, but every single jiva in this world suffers. Maybe the expression of suffering is less or more. The suffering that they go through is less or more, but every single person suffers. There is nobody who is not suffering except a person who has realized the self. There also the suffering is still there, but for the body, mind, intellect. That person has disassociated with that. Anything which is finite will be suffering and miserable only. That's why in the Upanishad it says, Bhuma vai sukham, alpe sukham na asti. In the limited there is no sukha at all. In the unlimited alone there is sukha. So a person has to realize this fact that desire and all its modifications are the cause of my sorrow. And this desire is rising because of ignorance. That's why he says Atma Jnana Vihina Mudha. Ignorance causes desire, desire causes all this anger, greed, jealousy, all the five modifications. So if I want a happy life, what should I do? I cannot just control the anger, greed, jealousy and be happy. I may put attempts so that mind becomes quieter. After that I have to control desire. That desire management we already saw. And when I reduce the desire, then I sit quietly, contemplate steadily, then what happens? Realize my true nature. Ignorance will get destroyed. That person is realized. And only that person is happy. Rest of everybody is, we are not Purna, we are getting Churna completely. In the world, crushed by everything. Situation can victimize us, people can trouble us, objects can enslave us. Gone we are. And we call this is life. What life? Victim of circumstances, continuously persecuted by people and completely dependent on objects. That morning one tea I don't get, I am finished. FBC I can't come. Why? I am not feeling good. Why? Chai nahi mila. Or I could not get up. Why? I want 10 more minutes of sleep. Half an hour more sleep. Sleep can control us, food can control us, people can control us, everybody can control us. Because I am a miserable jiva and the sad part is I still don't realize that this is called Naraka. I am thinking Naraka is something else only. Are? This exactly is Naraka right here and now.
Do we need to reduce the desire or I need to change it or desire like self-realization or desire like not the material object but desire the knowledge?
So it depends. If I want the realization of the truth, then I have to drop the desire. How will I drop the desire? By contemplating on the self. But to drop that desire and by contemplating on the self, at the moment I have to reduce the desires. Change the quality of desire from selfish to selfless. Reduce the quantity of desire. Then contemplate steadily, go beyond desire by self-knowledge. So I have to do both. I have to change the quality and reduce the quantity. Then the desire for the desire for self-realization will put away every other desire and then that desire will make me contemplate. It will go in the realization. Like sleep, no? I want to sleep. Then I am so convinced that no, I am exhausted, I am fatigued, I just need sleep. Then every other thought I will put aside. So the desire to sleep puts aside all the other desires. And then because I have desire to sleep, I am invoking sleep. When sleep comes, this last desire also goes. One gets sucked into sleep. It is like that. So samsara is not somewhere else. Where is samsara? Right here. Naraka is not somewhere else. Right now here is Naraka. One man, he was crying like that. He went to Gurudev, one man, businessman. He was weeping. Literally he was weeping and he says business is not doing well, people at family home are not fine, I'm very fed up, I'm exhausted, I have done a lot of wrong things, is it the bad karma that I'm going through? I'm very scared, Swamiji, can you please help me? And will I go to hell after this? When I drop the body because doctor has given me only 1 more year to live? Gurudev looked at him and he said, no, you will not go to hell. Because you are already in hell. There is nowhere to go. You are already suffering so much. And the strange part is all that suffering, one feels that is all part of life. This is how life is. One is settled with that. That life will not be, interesting if these challenges are not there. No doubt, without challenges, life is not interesting. But without self-knowledge, life is miserable. That I have to realize. Atma Jnana Vihina Mudha. Shankaracharya's definition of a deluded person is what? You don't have Atma Jnana, then you are deluded. That is what he is saying. Who is a wise person? Who knows the self. Everyone else is deluded. Not to condemn anybody, but to make us realize that where are we? Stuck in delusion, I am thinking I am wise. That is called Maya. And the person who is wise, I am calling that person madman of Dakshineshwar. Look at that. That is called Moha. What is not seen as it is. It is seen as opposite. So more we will continue in our next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.